On the note of Commissioner Grebner being 97 years old, we'll call this meeting to order. It was a really excellent article, though, Mark. Congratulations. All right, so the time is 4 p.m., and so I will call to order our Wednesday, November 19th, 2025 meeting of the Capital Area Transportation Authority Board of Directors, and ask our secretary to please call the roll.
Here.
Here. And we are still expecting two of our colleagues, but they are running late. So with that, we'll move to our first public comment opportunity. This is the time we set aside during each of our meetings to take comments from the public on agenda items this evening. We ask that you please consider filling out a blue card to assist our secretary, and that you limit your comments to 3 minutes at this opportunity on agenda items. And we'll have a timer to assist you with that. I would normally call cards in the order in which they were submitted, but I haven't had any cards submitted in advance. So let me just ask if there is anyone present who wishes to offer public comment on this first opportunity on agenda items. All right, seeing none, then we'll move forward to Chair's comments. I have just two quick things this evening. The first is we have had requests from two of our colleagues, Derek and John, to have their absences from tonight's meeting excused. So I would ask if there is a motion to excuse those absences. Moved by Phil, seconded by Chelsea. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries. The second is just an administrative note, and I know Brad will have more on the larger conversation, but we are not joined this evening by our colleague Keith Barber, who has been serving as a non-voting representative on this board, and he will continue to do so until the end of the calendar year. But with the result of the Delta Township transit millage, we will not be having that arrangement anymore after the end of the calendar year. So I've sent a letter to the County Commission Chair, thanking him for the appointment and for Commissioner Barber's service. And I would just say, if anyone else has the opportunity to see Commissioner Barber around town here, to likewise thank him for his service on our board as a non-voting representative. With that, I'll hand it over to Brad for his Chief Executive Officer's report. Brad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello, board members. Hello, public. Yes, the first item on the agenda is the unsuccessful Delta vote. The first thing I want to do is thank this board for allowing this pilot to happen, allowing the relationship between the two agencies and the two counties to take place. I have heard a lot of conversations in the last week and a half or so. I do not believe all is lost. I think we learned a tremendous amount about how to put a successful program in play. I think there are a lot of positives that will continue on. So thank you. Thank you for your leadership on this. The changes that have been announced to the Delta Township trustees are that we will pull back the Route 3 and associated spec trans service to the Lansing Mall on January 12th of 26, which is pretty much where it was operating prior to the pilot. Tomorrow, the E-Tran Board of Directors will be getting recommendations from their Service Development Committee about their cuts, their changes that will occur most likely at the same time. Those discussions obviously have to happen tomorrow to coordinate services. The priority on both agencies is to take care of the most vulnerable in the interim. I can assure you, as I have assured the other board and the other local agencies, that we will not have any life-threatening situations. Those that need to get medical trips will have them between the two agencies. We will continue those conversations. We will continue to share. But with that said, I anticipate substantial service reductions with both agencies come January. Number two, E-Tran changes in discussion that will happen tomorrow. Also tomorrow, the Mid-Michigan's first full-size electric, all-electric bus will be launched to the public. That will occur tomorrow at 1 p.m. at Tranter. You are all invited. We have a representative from Senator Slotkin's office. Then Representative Slotkin was instrumental in getting that federal funding for that first electric bus. We will also have MDOT, Dick Peffley from Board of Water and Light, because I thought that was a really good idea to make sure that the power company was there. You know what I'm saying? And finally, Mr. Chairman, it is that time of year again. This Friday is Silver Bells, and we will have the Caterpillar in the parade. We're scaled down a little from what we've done in the past, obviously due to budget concerns, but the Caterpillar will be in play. You are welcome to walk in that parade. If you are interested, please let Brandy know. RSVPs are highly encouraged. They say here required, but what I say to the board is highly encouraged. Everybody else is required. Between 5:30 and 5:45 at 500 South Washington Square West is where we stage, and we kick off the holiday season. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Brad. Any questions from board members for Brad on his report? Go ahead, Phil.
Comment. We dealt with the township millage going down was a disappointment, obviously, for all of us. At the same time, East Lansing voters turned down a park millage by 20 points. Meridian Township voters in August turned down a millage by 18 points, which Meridian Township voters never do. Not a good year for putting new tax of any kind on the ballot. Voters are feeling the pinch, feeling the crunch of tariffs, and in some ways it was surprisingly close. So I think they have put into it pay off just from the right year for it.
Thanks, Phil. All right, that brings us then to our proposed consent agenda this evening, which includes 6 items for the board's consideration. Those are the approval of the minutes of the October 15th, 2025 board meeting, the approval of the minutes of the October 15th, 2025 closed session. A note to board members, you have a hard copy of those minutes at your seat. Please remember to leave it on the table so that staff can collect them after the fact if you are willing to do so. The next item is the approval of the treasurer's report from September 2025. We then have the Experience the Gift of the Season holiday free fare campaign, insurance renewals, and finally the automated passenger counters for 2025. Does any member of the board desire to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda to the discussion agenda? Mark?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? If not, is there a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda? I was going to say moved by Shanna, seconded by Stephen. All those in favor of approving the balance of the consent agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries, which brings us to our discussion agenda, which now includes only one item, the former consent agenda item F, automated passenger counters for 2025. Mark, you requested that this item be removed. Did you want to start us off? It would be preferable if you use the microphone.
Okay.
Yes.
There, I think so for, God, 35 years, every time there's some issue that involves, kind of, very low level efficiency, it bothers me when CATA doesn't take advantage of it. And I'm really talking about people getting on buses quickly and getting off buses quickly and getting to their destinations quickly and having the buses be pretty close to being exactly on time, and the buses moving through their routes as efficiently as possible. And so there have been many, many, many times under the previous administration, not this one, that there were just mind-boggling snags that they just couldn't turn a bus here. They couldn't get the driver to continue the route. He had to take a 15-minute break at exactly this point and so forth. Almost all those things gotten fixed. One thing that just bothers me, it probably only involves, tens of thousands of dollars, or maybe, probably not $100,000 a year. I should just let it go. But could we please, since we're not charging fares on campus, could we please count people on and off the bus at the other doors than the front. And maybe it's probably not in this RFP, it's probably not in this contract, it's probably not part of this hardware. But could we please just do that? Because the buses would board a minute or two faster at every stop, and it means that everybody's trip to get from Hubbard Hall to Bessie would be 4 minutes faster, and you'd be speeding up 10,000 people a day, giving them a 4-minute faster trip. And could we please do that? That's all. And as I said, it's probably not directly relevant to this because every time I ever raise anything like this, I'm told that was already decided 7 years ago, and they won't be able to take it up until some other decade or millennium or something. So I'm waiting. I've already I waited for many things until the new millennium, and so we got there eventually. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other discussion on this item or comments from Brad?
Commissioner, thank you again for your insight. It is noted and we will look into it.
Go ahead, Phil.
Since we brought up this.
I'm going to ask our Director of IT to stand, as this is one of his pride and joys.
Absolutely. I even gave myself a mic for this one. This new technology is using a 3D time of flight technology. So it can see all sorts of movement, both on and off from all of the doors. So we will be able to catch people entering whichever door they come on and whichever door they go off. But this technology is an upgrade for us in that it's not just a kind of a tripwire. It's actually taking an image and processing that image to understand what it's seeing, whether it's a wheelchair, a stroller, whatever it may be. And not only that, but the direction then, whether someone is getting on or off of the bus. So right now we have a simpler technology that just kind of counts ons and offs from each door, but doesn't really do a good job doing all of that. So this should take care of all of these issues and allow us the flexibility. So if we ever run into another pandemic where we're both boarding and alighting from one door, it's allowed for.
Mark, would you like a follow-up?
I'm just about positive that the buses running around the MSU campus right now, you have to board at the front, even on 3-door buses. I think you do. Does this mean that we're going to change policies? And poor John isn't here. I can't believe that he's aware of this, because he and I talked about this recently, and he didn't have a gleam in his eye. I didn't see the excitement that we'd finally actually be able to board at all 3 doors.
I would expect in this scope that we would be able to come back and answer that question for the commissioner. Would you, sir?
I would agree with that, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve the contract related to automated? Thanks, Ed. Moved by Ed, seconded by Mark. Any final discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed, say nay. That motion carries. The contract is approved, which is the totality of our discussion agenda for this evening, which brings us to old business. We have no noticed old business, but Brad, I think you have an update on an item here for the board.
I do. Out of respect for the conversation that this board had at last month's meeting, I've asked Todd to come forward and use the old business item here to talk about some of the outstanding questions that the board asked about security and involvement with the police department. He's got a quick update for you. Todd, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Last month, we talked about LPD. One of the things that I believe you were looking for is what's the breakdown of the incidents that they respond to at the CTC? Well, LPD broke it down to 9 different types of incidents. One positive thing that I thought out of this came was that the violent incidents that they respond to was at the very bottom, or almost at the very bottom. It was actually number 8 out of the 9 different incident types. The number one thing that they do respond to the CTC for was medical responses. So as far as the violent, that was down really low. So that was a positive thing, I thought. The hours, what were the peak hours that they respond to the CTC? It's actually from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. So we've got 7 hours throughout the day that is their peak time for responding. They were also helpful to what day of the week is the day that they respond the most. That's Friday. One thing I would point out is their shifts that they cover for us downtown at the CTC are normally historically been 4 to 4.5 hour shifts. So it's kind of challenging to cover that whole entire 7 hours that they have their peak times down there. One other thing I might mention is I believe someone mentioned what are some alternatives to keep beefing up security, keep beefing up LPD. We heard you. One of the things that we did is we had our first community partnership summit back on November 12th. You might ask, well, who came? Lansing Public Library came, LPD came, Lansing School District came. We had Advent House Ministries. We had Child and Family Charities all come. We all sat around and talked for a little over 3 hours, sharing challenges that everyone faces, sharing best practices, talking about how can we work together and cultivate these partnerships to deal and try to make better the challenges that we all face. One positive thing that I thought came out of this summit meeting was that the entire group unanimously decided that we need to meet every single quarter and talk about these things. The communication, the ideas, they were really great. Everybody was super at this meeting. The ideas of maybe even subcommittees forming out of this summit was also talked about, and everyone liked those ideas. So we have some of those starting right now. So I would say we can look forward to giving you updates on these throughout the year. That is all I have, unless there are any questions.
We appreciate the update. Let me ask if there are any questions from the board. And let me just say, Todd, we appreciate all the effort that you're putting into this as well and convening regional stakeholders as well. So thank you for your work. All right. There is no other old business to come before the board today. Likewise, new business, which brings us to our second and final public comment opportunity. This is the time we set aside during each of our meetings to take comment on any CATA subject. Same request, please fill out a blue card to assist our secretary. Limit your comments to 3 minutes and we can have a timer to assist you with that. Once again, I have no cards submitted in advance, so let me just ask, is there anyone who wishes to offer public comment at this second and final opportunity this evening? Seeing none. A quick logistical note for folks who are either watching online or present in the room. We do have a request this evening for a closed session regarding a strategy in connection with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement. So once we record the motion and the roll call vote required here on this closed session, we'll take a break to move into our closed session before only coming back to adjourn the meeting. So if you're watching at home, the feed won't turn back on. And if you're in the room, we won't be conducting any business after this. But before I ask for that motion, let me say, Stephen, what's up?
I wanted to offer a couple of observations based on the data that's in our packet. I see that we performed very well versus our budget for the last fiscal year in a positive manner. I also am looking at ridership. September ridership was up significantly from a year ago. The interesting thing is I took the time to research the population of the greater Lansing area, which in fact exceeds the CATA service area. It's 333,000 according to the data I saw for this year, which means that each of those, we had the equivalent in terms of ridership of each of those 333,000 people riding 3 times during the month of September. That's something we should be proud of. And that's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Mark?
If he hadn't said that, I wouldn't have been reminded. I note that property taxes came in 4.5% or something like that over estimate. I don't think you could possibly actually miss property taxes by 4.5% unless you tried. So I just note that it looked to me like very cautious budgeting.
Go ahead.
Agree with that statement. We do cautious budgeting.
Go ahead, Phil.
Great way to gauge that, if you look at state inflation rate, state set, the fact in which they allow cities and townships to raise taxes based on the amendment on both way, it takes it the rate of inflation of 5% charges less. I think it's 2.9%.
Thank you, Phil. Seeing no other hands, I would ask if there is a motion for the board to move into closed session for the purpose of discussing strategy in connection with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement. Moved by Kelly, seconded by Ed. This motion requires a roll call vote. So let me ask Tina, will you please call the roll?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, that motion has passed. So we will say goodbye to our friends who might be watching on the stream and take a brief logistical pause here so that non-board members or essential staff can excuse themselves from the room. Again, we will only be returning to open session for the purpose of adjourning the meeting. There will be no other business conducted tonight. Thank you all for your time.